What is good, Hiphoppas? It is Esteban Xound here with hip hop certified throwback reviews from the 2014-2015 vault. Yes, so we're honestly, I think this is the second last review that we have from the vault of 2014-2015 when we started this shit. And I know some of you guys fuck with it, some of you guys don't. We are moving away from the album review section, but this is kind of where we started, and I still want to put it out there. Now, as far as the album, the Vince Staples album, Summertime '06, it's still a fucking dope album. I still bump this to this day. Super dope. So yeah, with that being said, I'll let you guys see me ramble on. So we're out, y'all. Peace.
Oh shit. Oh, what up? I'm back in the same spot. I don't know, I kind of just like the way this, like right here is kind of set up. So I might do like a couple videos in this particular area. I don't know, I just kind of like the way it looks when I edit it. So hopefully this isn't bad again. Hopefully the lighting isn't too horrible.
See, now we should probably start the show. See, everything you heard before was probably a warm-up. I got thousands of songs we could do. I could be here till 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. Don't give a fuck. Just like, you know, like crazy. So that real hip-hop is over.
Let me just get into this. This is the Vince Staples Summertime '06 album review. Okay. I don't know, as of recent, I just been like wanting to do conversations about albums more than breakdown analysis of albums. So that's sort of the way I'm gonna maybe approach the next couple album reviews, because that's just the way I feel like talking about albums recently. Just kind of like as an overall, obviously I'll touch into specifics here and there, but I just kind of want to touch on the overall larger points of the album. So that's kind of the way I'm going to approach this. So if you see my previous reviews where I'm breaking it down track by track and production and all that, don't expect the same sort of in-depth analysis, but I will have a conversation about the album. Yeah, let me just get started on this album. Background with artists. I've never been a huge Vince Staples fan. I've had his music for a while now, and I wouldn't say I was definitely interested in Vince Staples through his previous mixtapes, the Shine Cold Chain and The Hell Can Wait, and all his previous projects. I have them. I was put on to Vince Staples by my brother. Shine Cold Chain albums, I thought they were interesting. It's just he didn't sound that interested himself as far as rapping. It just kind of seemed like he did it, and you know, he just grabbed some grimy, dark ass beats and just kind of rapped. It didn't seem like he was putting so much effort into it. So the mixtapes were okay, but I didn't feel like I was getting that much out of Vince Staples. Then the Hell Can Wait EP came out, and I was a lot more interested after that. I was like, okay, I actually like a lot of these songs, and they sound like he's putting a lot of effort into them. Whenever this debut release comes, I'm expecting that I'm actually gonna enjoy a couple of these tracks, but I didn't expect to enjoy the whole album, because again, it's sort of like the same feelings that I had towards Odd Future or Earl Sweatshirt. I can listen to that occasionally, but I just can't really listen to that sort of dark, grimy type music all the time. So when I finally put this on, I was actually really fucking pleasantly surprised. This is one of the biggest surprises for me and how I felt on the album. Really one of the biggest surprises of this whole year for me, just because I really didn't expect to like something like this. Again, dark, gritty. Again, when it comes to music like this, I'm not usually that interested in it, and usually the shortfall in the albums like this and from people like Vince Staples is the production. I usually just think the production is sort of just kind of not that interesting for me, whether it's just not layered enough or it's just really simplistic, and I expected that to continue on this album. But when I actually listened to this, yo, one of the biggest standouts, ironically, was the production. The production and the beats on here knock. The same comment that I had about on the Earl Sweatshirt album, where I said that some of the beats knocked. It's just that heavy sub bass, that knock feature to the instrumentals, and those are the ones that I really enjoyed. I can just kind of bounce to. This album is full with that shit. It's just this heavy sub bass, dark, airy beats, and it just works perfectly. Again, there's a fair amount of variation. You have more trap influenced tracks like the Señorita, but for the most part, again, it's just these gritty drums, this heavy sub bass. It's modern enough, but it's not trendy as far as using the trap sounds. I think the producers on this obviously being Clans Casino, DJ Dahi, and OID doing the most of the production. Obviously, if you guys don't know who these people are, do your fucking research. These are some of the best producers out right now. They brought this sort of gritty yet clean trap feel to the production, and it knocks whole way through. Obviously you have more slower songs, but for the most part these beats knock, and they're just airy, they're just interesting. They're not your usual instrumentals that I hear. These are one of the most interesting and different instrumentals that I've heard all year. So that automatically caught me. I was like, damn, these beats I can nod my head to and sincerely enjoy. And a lot of these I can bump in the whip too. So it's like, okay, cool. I got that out of the way. What also helped was Vince Staples. Vince Staples has never been that interesting to me as an MC. He is the main attraction on his music, and I do listen to Vince Staples for Vince Staples. But again, he's just not an artist that I'm super interested about. But when it came to this album, Vince Staples delivered perfectly on the beat. He wasn't overbearing, he wasn't oversimplistic. He just found this perfect balance of writing the beats well, finding good flows, finding his pocket, and just riding over the beats. And a lot of the times I was like, damn, I just kind of caught the wave of the beat, and then Vince Staples come in and I'm like, yes. And I think these two things together made this album extremely enjoyable for me, because what I think you get from these two meshes of Vince Staples and his delivery and then these beats, you get this catchy album that's not poppy, but it's not done on purpose. It's not oversimplistic, but it's still catchy. Vince's flow is catchy on the beat. The beats are catchy themselves, but it's not overly simplistic and it's not poppy. And I don't think it being catchy is a trait that was done like extremely on purpose, you know what I mean? I think it's just the way the album sounds. It's again, you just can catch the wave of the beat and the flow. It's just like, okay, I feel this. And that's why I enjoyed this album so much, because I don't have to think so much about it. Although I'll get to lyrical content and the concept of the album later. I can just listen to this Vince Staples, his metaphors, his themes, I can catch pretty quickly. And then I also have the dope ass beats behind it. So again, it's not overly lyrical, but it's saying something. The point is, Vince Staples delivered on the album, and the beats were a perfect mesh with his flow and the subject matter. As far as the subject matter and the concept of the album, I thought it was actually extremely interesting, as far as him talking about the summer of 2006 and how that changed his life. His innocence kind of just left him, and that's when he was really exposed to the world. Basically, this album takes you through what he saw that summer, whether it's gangbang and a lot of street shit that you get from previous Vince projects. He's gonna touch on that as well. But the thing with Vince Staples is he's not just rapping about street shit like, oh yeah, I gangbang and you know I shot a couple dudes or whatever, right? It's not done in that way. It's like, okay, I did do this, but this is what happened. I'm a product of the environment, but I also understand what's going on. He is in the midst of all this gangbanging and all this hood crime, but Vince Staples is intelligent enough to understand that what's happening isn't right. And he always put his 2 cents in there. The content is there. And Vince Staples, no, he's not preaching to you, first of all. He's just giving you his experiences and his thoughts while being in the midst of all this hood shit. And this is kind of the new wave as far as music, where if you want to get a message across, it's not done in a preachy way, like don't do this and do that. It's more like, okay, I was a part of this environment. I'm in the middle of the fucking storm. It's like what Kendrick Lamar said on Absol's outro, where he says, I'm not on the inside looking out, I'm not on the outside looking in, I'm at the dead fucking center looking around me. That's exactly what this album is as far as content. Vince Staples is in the dead fucking center of all this crime, looking around, and he's just describing to you his environment and what's going on during the summertime of 06. But because Vince Staples is smart enough to know that this shit isn't right, he gives you that side of himself as well. So he'll say, okay, well, you know what, on tracks like North or Dope Man or Senorita or Get Paid, Hang Bang, you have the outright street shit, but you'll also have other tracks where he's like, okay, well, you know what, this is what happens to our community and this, that, and the other. But it's just done in a very personal way, so it doesn't feel like he's preaching to me. And not to say that this album is overly conscious, but it's conscious enough where I'm interested and I see he has a message. Perfect example is the second track, Lift Me Up, where it's just done in a very blunt way that hits you hard. He said, I wanted to say fuck Versace, they raping niggas' pockets. And it's just when he says shit like that, it's like, oh, well, that's true. And that's just done throughout the whole project. He'll say shit, just again, little spurts of truth that you're like, okay, wow, because Vince Staples is smart enough to give you that. But he's also, again, product of his environment, and he was in the middle of that street shit. He doesn't do it in a glorifying way. It's more of a, this is just what's happened. That's basically just the overall feel of the album. And I personally don't have really any complaints as far as the track listing. The only song I didn't like was Loca. I just didn't like the beat on that one, the man. But I get it. But I didn't really personally care for that track, but everything else I thought fit perfectly. And I thought Vince Staples varied the sound enough in the track listing where whether he's just outright spitting or he's doing more of a song or he's focusing more on the musicality, like the one with Janae Aiko feature, Let Me Know, or even the Summertime track. Again, he's just being more musical. He's saying less, but the music still can speak for itself. I enjoyed those moments as well where Vince Staples was more musical than lyrical, but I also enjoyed the moments where Vince Staples was outright very lyrical. I just think the sound is varied enough, but it's consistent. It's dark, it's grimy, but it has its positive moments. And so because it's very consistent throughout, but it's varied enough, the album sonically is fine with me. Conceptually, the album's fine with me. Lyrically, the album's fine with me. Again, none of the lyrics, it's not gonna leave you walking away searching up shit on the internet, but it sure as hell is gonna make you think. Like with tracks like I Might Be Wrong, or even the second track, or Summertime. Vince Staples says very thought-provoking shit. Perfect example is this on the Summertime track where he says, my teachers told me we're slaves, my mom told me we're kings, I think we're somewhere in the middle or something like that. I know I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically just kind of the summation of this album as far as just the overarching theme and Vince Staples' consciousness. He goes through the hood shit, the crime, the drugs, you know, what got them there, and the mentality that goes with that, which I guess is the slave part of it. And then he goes through the other part of it, whether it's discussing social issues, discussing social ills and vices, and that's more of his kingly part of him, that he recognizes what's going on. So I think that was a pretty good, basically, summary for the album. I enjoyed this album a lot, a lot. Some of my favorite tracks I'll go through. The Lift Me Up track, I really like that track. North, Let Me Know, I thought that was a really cool change. I liked A, Jump Out the Roof. Señorita, yo, I really fuck with Future's feature on there. I'm starting to become a little bit of a Future fan, I can't front. I do like a lot of the features that Future has been on recently, so I don't know, I just kind of like him on features, so I did like that track. Señorita, Summertime, Surf, I liked for the beat. The beat on Surf was dope as hell. Might Be Wrong, I liked the concept of that track. Hang and Bang, and then Like It Is. And I thought the closing of the album was pretty cool as far as it being like a TV show of Ramona Park, who I don't know what street he said it was, but I thought it was just a really dope ass album, to be honest. And it being 20 tracks, obviously it's like, oh my god, that's a double album, but the runtime's really not that much, which I appreciated a lot because when you have to listen to as many albums as, you know, your album reviewer does, when you listen to long albums, it's just it takes a lot out of you. So I was happy that the album wasn't long as far as runtime. Beats were dope, concepts were dope, features were dope, and just a really solid album. And I think Vince Staples took a lot of what he's done previously as far as talking about the hood shit and his father and leading that life but knowing that's wrong. I think he took a lot of those themes, put it in a very interesting setting as far as it being the summertime of 06, so keeping it concise, splitting it up into two albums. I didn't really see the difference between the two albums, to be honest. I think both of them touched on similar themes and topics, but I enjoyed his flow. The content wasn't, I see how someone could say the content get repetitive because he's talking about a lot of street shit, but I think because he's well aware of what's going on, I think he's able to vary it and talk about street shit in different perspectives. The content wasn't repetitive for me. The beats, dope. dope beats. Love the beats. And it was just really concise. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about the album. I really heavily fuck with this. Like, this is most likely gonna be in my top 5 projects of the mid-year, because I really did enjoy this album. Just like a personal rating for me as far as how I felt about the album, I give this like a 9, because I really heavily fuck with this album. But again, it's just my opinion, you know. I really didn't expect to enjoy this album, and because I enjoyed the album as much as I did, I think that definitely added to why I enjoyed it so much. Just a really dope album. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of Vince Staples. If you're not, steer clear, because you probably won't like this shit. Dope album. I enjoyed it a whole fucking lot. Yeah, that's basically all I gotta say about it. Sorry if this didn't have any particular structure, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it and share my general thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like the videos, if you have any suggestions, I'll consider them. I won't guarantee I'll do them, but suggestions, let me know. If you want to talk about the album, go ahead. Like, subscribe if you like the videos, share, follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter, do all that shit. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed the fuck out of this album. Vince Staples, keep doing what you're doing. Hope you continue this. And yeah, peace.